Imagine if all the teenagers in this world were influenced to do naughty and bad things. Imagine that the world we live in is destroyed because of our generation. And can't you imagine that this would be happen if we don't realize how dangerous juvenile delinquency is in this world? So how do we stop juvenile delinquency? For the answer, let's listen to my explanation for the next 5 minutes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anastasia Michelle Wijaya. It is an honor for me to stand here and greet you all. With me being here, I would like to talk about the dangers of juvenile delinquency, which are slowly destroying our generation, and how important the role of character education in adolescence as the prevention of juvenile delinquency. Okay, first, we have to know what juvenile delinquency is. Maybe some of you already know the meaning of juvenile delinquency. So, juvenile delinquency is an act of adolescence in adolescence that is contrary to public order or norms recognized by society. Again, this is done by teenagers. What comes to your mind if I mention the word teenager? Someone who has an unstable nature, someone who has emotion like a roller coaster, or someone who hasn't fully found their identity yet. Yes, it's all true. Those are all the characteristics of teenagers. Often, juvenile delinquency occurs because they experience social neglect in the surrounding environment. So one of the solutions that we can do in this problem is to change their character. So how to change their character? The answer is of course by giving them character education. In the year 2020, I studied character education in my practical exam, and since then, I realized how important character education is, especially in dealing with juvenile delinquency. Character education is education conducted to students to instill moral values to students regarding moral knowledge to prevent students from committing prohibited behavior. So, character education functions to shape a person's character so that they become a moral, tolerant, responsible, and well-behaved person. Character education is closely related to the role of parents and teachers in educating. Character education must be taught from an early age, namely from childhood. Therefore, the influence of upbringing parents is very important. Parents must make themselves an example or set a good example. But the role of parents is not always the solution in instilling educational character. Because if we are open-minded, not all teenagers in this world have a family figure in their lives. Maybe they have a family that is not harmonious, or they are broken home, or they never felt the presence of a family figure in their life. If that is the case, school is the second way to provide educational characters. This is in line with what is in Law number 20 of 2003 concerning the State Education System Article 1, Paragraph 1, which discusses that teachers must be able to carry out learning and direct students to be able to have good morals and in accordance with the norms that apply in society. But what if a teenager grows up without a family figure in their life and they cannot go to school due to several factors? If this is the case, how can the teenager still get an educational character and not commit juvenile delinquency? I think the only way is to get closer to God and become a more religious person. We are talking about religious character because the most important character that must be instilled and educated from childhood is religious character. And that way, we will find out our identity, we can keep ourselves away from the negative things around us, and most importantly, we must be able to filter our friendship scope. Now try to look at the environment around us. Have you ever found an act of juvenile delinquency, or do you often see it? Yes, that is the reality of the nation generation today. Sad, isn't it? If you think about it, this nation generation could have been damaged if no one could realize how dangerous the influence of juvenile delinquency is. Theft, brawls, drunkenness, sexual harassment, what else are examples of juvenile delinquency that I have not mentioned? Of course, there are many, and it should be noted that juvenile delinquency occurs everywhere, not only in this country but also other countries in the world. From that explanation, we already know and realize how dangerous juvenile delinquency is and why juvenile delinquency is a social problem that we cannot ignore. We must make various efforts to reduce juvenile delinquency, and that effort starts with each of us, because the future of the nation depends on us and our future generations. So let's build a millennial golden generation for a bright future. If we cannot do great things, then do small things in a great way. That's all I can say. I hope this speech can be useful for all of us, and I apologize if there are any mistakes. The rest, thank you. May peace be upon you.